Okay. Well, I think we're live. It says live, so it probably isn't lying. But this is a kind of a miracle, right? That this is coming out, and you know, Lee, the publicist, told me that you just made the cut to be qualified for competing for an Oscar. I mean, that's amazing. And yeah, and now this documentary that you did with Aretha Franklin, and it's called Amazing Grace, was done in a church in 1972 in January of that year, and she was like 28 years old.
29.
So, well, I thought her birthday was in March.
Her birthday's in March. I believe she's born in whatever it was, in the 3, whatever the year is, right? Minus the, so she
43.
43, I think so.
Yeah. But so she was 29, and this was a chance for her to be in a church performing live and singing the songs she grew up on. And it watching this is like having her come back to you in a way, after we lost her in August. And so it's a beautiful gift for people who, feel that loss. And, but there's been several reasons why this has been a long time coming, to fruition and being on a screen. So I'll let you both, explain the circumstances, but, Sidney Pollack was originally hired to direct this, and then
He was hired to direct it, yes.
Yeah. And, he did Out of Africa, he did Tootsie, he did They Shoot Horses, or, he was a well-known director. So what went wrong? What didn't he do right that made this film have to go into a vault because of technical difficulties?
Well, in 1972, when they made the movie, they had, there's no cell phones, there's no digital cameras, there's no nothing like that. There's big pieces of equipment. And in those days, you had a 10-minute reel that went on these, what they thought were very, modern cameras, which went on your back as opposed to being on sticks and, almost like the Wild West of that. But the idea was that you had to have, a clapper that went like that to give you sync at the start of the reel. And you would then press play and record and go for the entire 10 minutes. When you went for the entire 10 minutes, if you stopped the film, you would need to do a clapper again just to make sure that you could sync up the audio with the video again. And Sidney had never done a documentary before, and his camera crew were not prepared to do that. So they didn't bring clappers, one. Then they would turn the cameras on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off. 5 cameras over 2 days, over 10 hours of filming. And they had thousands of pieces of film, which in the old days you would hang, with paper clips on a line in the editing bay, and then try to figure out where to put it with the audio, which was a 1/4-inch tape.
Right.
And so they had no reference points as to where to start, what songs were which. They hired the choir director, and he worked for a couple months trying to get pieces of film sunk together. And after a couple months, they just sort of threw their hands up and couldn't do it with the technology available in 1972.
But this did become an album and was
Yes.
the bestseller of her career, like over 2 million copies sold. So that part of it was okay, but they couldn't use that for the movie.
Right.
No. But I think I did one thing wrong, but I'll fix that now. You are Alan.
Oh yes, I am.
Elliott, and you're Tirrell D. Whittley, and you're 2 of the producers who have worked on this film. So there, I am sorry. There, I made a mistake. I am like Sidney Pollack anyway. But But the film was paid by Warner Brothers, and they decided to just put it in a vault. Why? The technology wasn't around to be able to do anything.
There was nothing they could do, and the technology really didn't exist until just about when Sydney got very ill with pancreatic cancer and passed away. And that's just in the flow of this thing. That's what it is.
Yeah, but you actually did you buy the rights to the film?
Yes.
In 1988.
No, in 2008.
Oh, in 2000.
1990, okay. I started the conversation with, I was a staff producer at Atlantic Records with Jerry Wexler, who was the man who produced this record, and I, used to work with him. And then we had started the conversation with Sydney Pollack in 1990, which we didn't pick up again until 2008.
So what was the magic thing that was able to fix the unsyncing problem?
Digital technology.
Yeah. And now you were ready to premiere this in Telluride at the film festival in 2015, and then something happened.
Yes.
Aretha happened.
yeah, Aretha happened.
Yeah, and what did she ever tell you her objections to it? Or she just didn't want to lose control of it.
We'll never know. I never got to have a conversation with her about it. And she said she loves the movie. That was the only quote that's ever been. They asked her from the Detroit Free Press. They said, "What do you think of the movie?" And she said, "I love the movie."
Well,
so we never know. Tirrell and I went and met with the family a few weeks ago because those are our partners in this movie,
right?
And we always wanted to be and always want to be respectful to the family. So when we went to Detroit to ask them, we thought we were going to get that moment, which you just thought you would get from us, which is, what was the problem? And and Sabrina Owens, who's her niece and the executor of the will of the estate, said to us, that's just how she was.
Right.
Now, Tirrell, you're more from the marketing side of things. So where do you come in? When did you start being attached to this?
Yeah, around 2012, 2013, I got Reuben Cannon, a good friend of mine and a mutual friend of Alan and I, reached out to me. He told me that, hey, you got to meet this guy, Alan, but more importantly, you have to see this Aretha Franklin film. Right. So Reuben sent me the film. I watched it, and I was blown away. I mean, literally blown away. It was one of those things where I said, this is a very special, special project. And it took a while for me to connect with Alan, but then I eventually flew out to LA, sat down with Alan, really liked Alan's energy. I mean, he has a tenacity for seeing this film through and making sure that it's treated a certain way that I think, really connected with me. And from there, Alan and I just kind of set out. And then there are other people, other producers engaged as well to say, okay, let's stay the course to figure out how do we get this to the marketplace. I see the marketplace. You're right. I'm a marketer. And so whether it's the faith audience, whether it's music lovers, whether it is art house film, or even just commercial people, folks that have a love for Aretha Franklin, there's something in this film for lots of folks. And while being a church service, literally, I mean, over 2 nights, you see this this aspect of Aretha Franklin that many have never seen before, and her singing gospel and really letting herself go. And I mean, she took the church, the church to a whole other level.
Right.
But Aretha in that space, I think, is somewhat unique and a testament to how well the album has done over the years.
Right, right. Now, the doc isn't perfect.
Right.
And, but I mean, because it's Aretha Franklin.
I disagree. I think it's perfect, but that's okay.
Well, okay. No, it's perfect in many ways, but there are little jarring edits, and sometimes the mics are, and it's not important stuff that the people are saying. It's not Aretha. You hear Aretha loud and clear, really loud and clear. Yes. And so that's the most important thing. But Yeah, I just enjoyed all the different variations and afros on the screen too.
Well,
those were amazing hairdos.
yeah, this past Saturday, Alan and I and a couple other producers, Joseph Wolf and Rob Johnson, we were in San Francisco, and we showed the film with Julie Huntsinger and the Telluride at the Dolby Theater. And when I tell you the sound there and watching it there, Alan's right. There's a certain level of perfection, and maybe it's the imperfect perfection that this film delivers that was something special. And that audience got a chance to experience the movie in what I believe to be one of the best theaters in the United States. That place was incredible.
Yeah. No, I like its rawness and its realness. It doesn't feel fake at all. You know, it's not her giving a performance. She's just living in that moment and loving every minute of it, and surrounded by all these preachers. And she doesn't really talk that much, but how can you with all those preachers running around? So they talk for her.
Well, the thing is, you have her father was there, which was very endearing. But then James Cleveland, Reverend James Cleveland, is the one that really takes you and narrates this roller coaster ride of song. But at the same time, he provides a lot of character, a lot of color, comic relief at times. And, you know, I think the emotion comes through that way in conjunction with all the other people involved. But I can tell you, you know, with all the elements of the film, you know, whether it's the cameras or the focus, Mick Jagger in the back, those are I think those are the unique elements that make this so special, because literally, like you said, with the afros and even the fashion, you get teleported to 1972 and you feel like you're in that church.
Yes, you do. With the sweat and the dancing and everything. No, you are going to church, whether you like it or not. But Mick Jagger being there is like so random, and with Charlie Watts. And, you know, Billboard, I guess, asked him recently about it. And, you know, why him? I mean, it's great. But the camera even goes, wait, who is that? And then he zooms in there. It's fantastic. So, but, and there are some goose pimply moments, and, you know, just her father wiping the sweat off her neck, and that is like one of my favorite things. And also her rendition of Never Grow Old.
Oh, yeah.
She just lets everything out, and it's a wonderful way to kind of end, you know, the film with her just saying, I'm just giving it all because it's almost the end. So it was beautiful. But what did you have anything you had to leave out because of issues you couldn't solve that you wish were very much in there?
Not because we couldn't solve them, just because in making a movie, you have to make choices. And there were 2 nights, and you're trying to, you know, in structuring the movie, what I went for was trying to use a structure that was sort of more closely resembles a Broadway show. And so we start with a slow introduction of all the characters. You go to a song that sort of explains why I'm here, which is Holy, Holy. And she starts with that, which was her favorite song. And then you start this journey of going, like Tirrell's word, journey, which is you start this first night going up to the big closing number of the first night, going into the big opening number of the second act, going into the closing 11 o'clock number, which is Never Grow Old. But in doing that, my favorite song is not in the movie, which is God Will Take Care of You. And it was just because we couldn't find a pacing to make it work. I think the film is perfect in its thing, but, you know, those who are huge fans will get to see the unexpurgated, down the line version of the movie that has every song and every rendition. But, you know, you had to make it, you know, it's not 87 minutes. It wasn't fully baked at 87 minutes, you know. The first cut was about 3.5 hours.
Well, I was disappointed. Amazing Grace is
No, Amazing Grace closes night one.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It is the big crescendo of night one.
Yes.
Okay.
Amazing Grace. I mean,
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I wasn't that bold. I'm a bold man, but I'm not leaving.
You had to put that in. Yeah.
No, it's in.
Now, I know you're showing it in theaters. You showed it in LA already for consideration, and then you're going to open it in New York this week or
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. And can real people go see it too, or just voters?
Fake people, real people.
Yeah, we want all
fake people. You want all of them. All right.
Anyone breathing is allowed into the theater, I believe, but I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. Yeah.
No, well, I think we're encouraging folks to take in the experience. We're glad. We're hearing from people that have seen it in LA. A lot of musicians went out, of course. A lot of voters, we hope, are seeing it, of course. But we want as many people to capture this opportunity while we're doing this qualifying run to really get a taste of the film.
Yeah.
And know how special it is. It's different when you're reading articles or reviews, and I think you can attest to this, but when you actually sit in a theater and you watch this movie, something special happens. And
so something stirs in you, and if something doesn't, then you're, like you say, you're not breathing. But no, it was lovely to see her in that moment at that age, in those beautiful caftans or whatever that were just gorgeous on her, and just singing her heart out and looking so happy, and being with people she obviously cared about a lot. And I don't know how many of those people are still around if you tried to hunt them down or anything, but they probably signed away their waiver to.
Well, we had a very emotional screening in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago, I think, today. I think somewhere around there.
AFI, yeah, for AFI.
Yeah, we closed the American Film Institute screenings series. Oh, did I crack? Oh, I'm back. And we had the big reason we did that was because we had the surviving choir members there and the choir director, Alexander Hamilton, and that was a really terrific evening to allow him to have that moment in a film. We had 450 people in there watching him, in all his glory, because he's really one of the unsung heroes of the entire project.
No, he looks so young, and he's just keeping them going.
Yeah, and that's the difference between, for those that know the record, it's a different experience seeing it. If you don't see it, you don't know that Alexander Hamilton is really making sure that everything is going together absolutely well. Tirrell has a great moment he always talks about. What's your favorite moment in it?
Yeah, it's really during Amazing Grace. And I've listened to the song so many times, but there's always this part where the piano drops out. And I've always wondered, like, what happened? And, and it picks back up later. But then when you sit and watch the movie, you see that James Cleveland is so overtaken with emotion that he has the piano. He goes to the choir stand. He's crying in his hands. He's bawling. Aretha is letting go during Amazing Grace. And then Alexander Hamilton has to rush over and pick up the piano. And it's in a different key a little bit. And you're kind of, so when you listen to the music, and that's a lot about what this film delivers. For those that have listened to the album time and time again, like myself, when you see it, the dynamics of what was taking place really even changes your appreciation for what Aretha was doing that night. While she was recording an album as well as shooting a movie, that she was in a different space. I mean, she really went into worship, and she allowed the entire audience to go there with her, while capturing that for us on screen, and then for all of us that listen to the album, is really something incredible. Just like as if you had sat in the room while Michael Jackson was shooting or recording Thriller, or Prince when he did Purple Rain. This is one of those unique opportunities that you never, or the Beatles during Abbey Road. Like, this is, you could never, again.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's technology, good and bad. Anyway, but people will get to see this next year. Most people around the country.
That's the plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the plan. So we are being very diligent. Right now, our major focus is making sure that we get this film in front of voters and that we can make the short list and hopefully receive the nomination. That is, I know we came in, in what we're calling drop mic moments. So we showed up in a very interesting format. And a lot of that had to do with the timing of just how things played out. But we had to be intentional during this window. So that's step one, is making sure that voters see this film and that they have the opportunity to experience it. And hopefully we make that short list. From there, we're working on making sure that the film reaches theaters. This film easily could have gone to a streaming service right away, as I'm sure you know.
Right.
But when you see it in a communal fashion with other people on a big screen, I think that's what makes this film really unique, and people get a chance to leave the theater and really talk about it and experience that they've had with Aretha Franklin. And so we think, and the family believes this as well, this is a great way to honor her legacy, to kick it off after her passing, but then also for her fans and those that have never seen Aretha in this light, they get a chance now to have a really deep experience with her and walk away with being touched in a special way. No,
it's a gift to her fans because they probably didn't know it was coming out finally.
They've heard of it. They've heard, and that's almost like the folk story of this film, and people have heard of it, but so few people have seen it. While she has millions and millions of fans, only a few hundred folks have seen this film today.
Well, thank you for both of your dedication to making sure that the public gets to know what this is all about finally. And good luck.
Thank you.
And it's been very nice meeting you. And if there's any other music out there you can bring to us that hasn't been put on film and made public, go ahead. You did a terrific job. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.